Hello Art 1 students. Today we are going to learn how to make a color wheel. We're actually going to make a snowflake since it's wintertime. Going to make a snowflake color wheel. This will be our first painting project in a series of painting projects. I think it's important just to learn how to mix colors. So this is going to be something like your finished project is going to look like. So I listed a list of material on the assignment, so make sure you get all your materials ready before you do this, and once you get all your materials ready, you can paint along with me and do this project along with me. Alright, so the first thing you're going to need to do is get a page out of your sketchbook. This time you're just going to have to tear the page out. So go ahead and tear out a page out of your sketchbook carefully. What we're going to do is we need to get this paper square, okay? So what we need to do is just take one corner and carefully fold it over, and then we're just going to cut this little excess off right here, and then we will have a square piece of paper. So you're just going to carefully take this corner, fold it over, make sure everything's lined up, and then you're just going to cut this edge off here neatly with a pair of scissors. Alright, and then when we open this up, we can see that we have a square now. So we've taken our sketchbook paper and turned it into a square. Alright, so we're going to get ready to fold this. So we're going to go ahead and fold that back with our diagonal fold here. And then we're going to take one corner, fold it over so that the corner matches up. Fold it right over so the corners match up. And make a crease. This will be our second fold. So we still have a triangle, but it's a smaller triangle. Alright, so here we go. If you want to see this again, we have our square. We folded it in half diagonally. We folded it again. And so now we have the shape. So now what we're going to do is we're going to fold it so that we have three sections here. So what we're going to do is sort of make a kite. So we're going to fold that over, and then we're going to fold this side over so that it meets up with this and sort of makes a kite shape. Alright, so you see you have a kite shape. So we've taken that triangle and we have folded the two edges over like this so that we have made it a kite shape. So now we're going to start cutting the design for our snowflake out. So I showed you several examples, so make sure you look at the examples before you do this. And you've probably done this when you were younger in elementary school or something, so this will think back to when you made the snowflakes in your classroom. I'm just going to make a couple of cuts. We're keeping the paper folded while we do this. And you know, we can try to make it the same on both sides, but I just want to see what you guys come up with. So there's another cut, and I think I want to make sort of a circular shape, so I think I'm just going to cut this part off here a little bit. And you know, you can do this however you want. Please don't think you have to do what I'm doing, because these can look all different kinds of ways. You know that they say no two snowflakes are the same, so they're all different. And I just might make a couple of more cuts here just to add some interest. So I'm excited to see what you guys will come up with your cut design. You need to make sure you save some room to paint because we will be painting this. Alright, I think I'm done with this, so I'm going to take my scraps and put those aside. And then I'm going to open up this and see what we've got here. Alright, so this is how this one turned out. You know what, I think I want to take a little bit of something out of the center there, so I'm just going to fold that up real quick. I forgot to do my little center design here, so I'm just going to do a little bit of cut right here. And then let's see what it looks like. Alright, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now you've got a ruler, you had a ruler in your pencil pack, or your art pack at the beginning of the year. So you're going to take your ruler, and you also had a ballpoint pen, and we're just going to make our lines. I am just tracing over the fold lines, so you should be able to see your fold lines pretty easy. This is just going to help us determine where our paint sections are going to be. So just go ahead and trace over all of your fold lines. Now we need to double check ourselves. We want to make sure that we have 12 total sections here. So let's make sure we count those and make sure that we have 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I do have 12 sections. All right, so now what you're going to do is you're going to label these. And we're going to label them in the order of the color wheel. I have one here that's already done. I'll show it to you. So I put a color wheel on the assignment so you can reference that. But we'll have yellow. I want you to go ahead and write this with your ballpoint pen. Yellow, yellow orange, I abbreviated that one. Orange, red orange, red, red violet, violet, blue violet, blue, blue green, green, yellow green, and then we're back to yellow. Okay, so that means we have our snowflake design all set up and we're ready to paint. So make sure you label it. This is going to help make sure that you don't make mistakes whenever you're painting. So what you'll need now is some newspaper to protect your surface, your paint palette that's in your paint palette or your paint pack. You will need your 3 colors of paint, yellow, blue, and red, and you'll need a cup of water, which I forgot, so I'm going to get it real quick. And you'll need a cup of water. And you'll also need some paper towels. So you want to make sure you have some paper towels with you. Okay, so I think I'm all set up here. All right, now we're going to make all of the paint colors on our color wheel using only the 3 primary colors. You do have a couple of brushes in your pack. You can pick which one you like. I'm going to use this one here. Move my things over here a little bit. When you're pouring your paint into your palette, so let's just go over a couple of things. This is called a palette. Your palette has a lid, and the wonderful thing about that is that that lid will help protect your paint, usually for a couple of days. I just put a little bit of red into a pan. These little circles here are called pans. So if you hear me talking about that you'll know what I'm talking about. So I put a little bit of red in the pan. This paint has to last you the year, so you only want to use as much as you need to. I skipped one and I put a little bit of blue in this one. I skipped one and I put a little bit of yellow in this one. And by skipping them, that's going to help me have some room to mix later on. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to start with yellow. I'm just going to put a little bit of yellow on the end of my brush, and I'm going to paint the section that's yellow. And just going to paint this. Hopefully you're painting right along with me. Got your things and you can just do this right along with me. And by the time we're finished this video, you'll be finished and ready to submit your work. So I'm just going to you want to carefully stay in the lines. I'm always looking for craftsmanship, which is how neat you are. You may need to do a couple of coats over these so that they're nice and bold colors. But that would be my yellow. Now I'm gonna start with my 3 primary colors. So I'm gonna rinse my brush out in my water cup here. I'm gonna dry it off, make sure all the yellow is out of my brush. And then I'm going to go on over here and I'm going to do the red. So my red section is already marked. So I'm going to just paint in the red section here. You have a smaller brush and a bigger brush, so whichever brush you feel comfortable with doing this is fine. So we have been learning about color theory here. We've been learning about color schemes. So you're just going to fill that space in with the red. I'm going to wash my brush out, dry it off on the paper towel. You always want to make sure all of your paint's out before you start with the new color. And you want to dry off your brush so that it doesn't have too much water in it for the next color. Alright, so next is blue. So I'm going to find blue on my color wheel here, start painting it. Want smooth, even brush strokes. Now you're going to get the knack for painting as you go here. Just looking for you to learn to mix colors and to learn paint applications so that it's, you know, neat paint applications and has good coverage. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so that's the 3 primary colors completed. Now we're going to move on to our secondary colors. So I'm going to wash my brush out again, dry it off. We'll start over here with the yellow-green. So I'm going to take a little bit of yellow and I'm going to move it over here to another pan. And I'm going to take a little bit of blue and I'm going to mix these together until I come up with a pretty nice green. Notice I don't want to contaminate all of my paint. Really, I should be washing my brush out after each one. But since I'm the only one using this paint, I think it's going to be okay. So I got a pretty nice green. I'm happy with it. So I'm going to paint the green section here. And I'm just going to apply all the paint. If your paint runs out or dries up before you finish it, you just need to mix up some more. I'd rather you have, I'd rather you use your paint wisely than to waste too much. All right, so that's the green. So I'm going to wash my brush out, dry it off again. Go over here to the violet. Violet is a secondary color. It's between red and blue. So I'm going to mix the red and blue. I'm going to take a little bit of red, a little bit of blue, mix these together until I get a nice violet color. This is nice. So, and then I'm going to paint the violet section. Notice how I'm doing like sweeping. I have to take my time here along the edges, but then I like to get the paint nice and even. So just go nice and back and forth. You can always go over this another coat if you need to. All right, so we have one more secondary color left. Do you know what it is? It is orange. So orange is made with red and yellow. Orange is a secondary color in between red and yellow on the color wheel, so we're going to use those 2 colors to make it. However, I will tell you that I would like to start with the yellow, bring it over here, and you're not going to need very much red. Red is very dominating, so I'm just going to take a tiny bit of red and put it over here, and to make sure that I just don't get too much at a time. Alright, so this is going to be my orange. So I will paint my orange section. If you put too much red in it, then you will end up making your orange too red, and it will be a red orange, and you won't be able to get your red orange properly then. So you want to make sure you have a good coloration. Alright, so there we have our primary colors, yellow, blue, and red, and our secondary colors done, orange, green, and violet. So now we're moving on to the tertiary or intermediate colors. So if I have any orange left, which I don't, I've used it all up, I could just take the orange and then add more yellow to it to make it yellow-orange. So I'm just going to mix up my orange again. And then what I'm going to do is add more yellow to it to make it a yellow-orange. See how this looks. Oh, that looks good. So the yellow-orange should be a value, a color, in between your yellow and your orange. It should not look too yellow and it shouldn't look too orange. You're right in the middle. So there is our yellow-orange. Since I already have my yellow, now I can just go ahead and add some more red to it until I get a red-orange. Still has to read as orange, but it will be redder than your orange. I made really simple snowflake designs, guys. I would love it to see how creative you guys can get with yours. Alright, so there we have that one. We're going to move over here and do our violets. So we're going to make our violet again with our red and our blue. And then in order to make our red violet, we'll need a little bit more red. Test it a little bit. I'll put a little bit more red in there. Well, this one's pretty nice. So now we've got our red violet. Moving all around, now we have blue violet. So blue violet is our violet, but with more blue. Now, since I'm starting with a red violet, I'm going to need a lot of blue to get it back to violet and then even add blue to it. So actually that doesn't look so bad. Let's test it out. Maybe a little bit more blue. Alright, so that looks like it is a blue violet. Alright, so now we're over here to our green. So we're going to wash out our brush again. Dry it off. Alright, I probably will need a little bit more yellow. Well, wait, maybe not. Alright, so I'm going to bring over a little bit of blue. Bring over my yellow. Make sure it's not contaminated with anything else. Now we want this green to be bluer than our green, so let's see what this, oh, that looks nice. So this would be our green with more blue in it to make our blue-green color. If you use contaminated paint, which means if you use a color paint that's already has a different color in it, then it's going to change the coloration of the color you want. So you want to make sure you don't contaminate your paint. And it's always best to wash your brush out every time you get a new color paint. Alright, and then last but not least we have yellow-green. Now is when I'm going to need some more yellow. So I don't need much because I only have this one last color to go, so I'm just going to put a tiny drop of yellow in there. And a little tiny bit of blue. And see if I can make a nice yellow-green. Alright guys, we have made our color wheel snowflake. You can just take a picture of this. If you have something dark to lay it on, like the table here is dark, shows up so much better. So if you have something black or very dark to lay your snowflake on so you can take a picture, I would appreciate it so that I can really see the contrast of each of your colors. But this is our color wheel. So once you've done this, you will have learned how to paint primary, secondary, and tertiary colors, all using only the 3 primary colors of red, blue, and yellow. Alright guys, make sure you take a photo of this, and I can't wait to see your designs.